What's up everyone, Zero here. So I've now played through the campaign on all of the classes, kind of. But let's talk about it. If you guys find my videos useful at all, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. I'm this close to 500 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate the support. I wanted to give my review on all the classes because we're almost a month in now, and I really feel like people are going to be starting to play alts. So I just wanted to give my review based on the campaign only. This is not an end game review. Quick caveat, these are all my opinions on the classes. I am not stating that my opinion is fact here. Really don't want the content cops coming after me. Just saying. So let's start with the first character that I made, which is my witch. So I have played 1 day, 17 hours, and 34 minutes on this character. I have officially died 26 times. Not bad. So going through the campaign with this one was really easy. I was trying a multitude of different skill combinations, different minion types. I really liked the frost mages. I really liked the storm skeleton. I ended up getting a little stuck in some of the higher tier maps. So I ended up switching over to Kripp's build, which is really, really good, using the Gas Arrow and the Arsonist. That's a really good build to use. I will link his build in the description if you guys want to check it out. It's an amazing build, does a ton of damage. If you really like the type of playstyle where you can kick back, have something else on the TV, listen to a podcast, watch YouTube videos on the other screen, whatever it is, this is definitely the type of build you want to run. Minions runs through the campaign. I mean, it just face rolls everything. It's really, really strong. I felt safe pretty much the whole time during the campaign. There weren't a lot of stressful boss fights. Maybe the first Act 1 boss, but that was really it. After that, I kind of just breezed through. Act 2 wasn't a big deal. Act 3 wasn't a big deal, and so on. Once you get Raging Spirits up, and I was using Unearthed with Raging Spirits and skeletal minions, and then once I was able to get some Arsonists on, it was really, really easy. The Unearth is a really good spell because if an enemy dies while it's cursed, it spreads the curse to all the other enemies if you bring up the corpse. So it's really, really cool. So that's what I used for the witch. So all in all, I would say that if you're going to try an alt and you haven't played minions yet, you should definitely give it a shot. It's a really fun class, especially if you like this more safe play style. The next class I made was an Invoker. I have played this class for 2 days, 6 hours, and 19 minutes. And on this, I have died 90 times. Because it's melee, you're going to be up close, so you're going to die a lot. Especially if you don't have defenses right out the gate, you don't have any resistances, if you have low evasion, if you have low energy shield. So for this class, what I used to level was Ice Strike, Charge Staff, and Tempest Bell. I was using Shattering Palm kind of as a movement to go back and forth between packs. I was using Herald of Ice for my meta skill. And I ended up trying to experiment with some cast on free stuff, but then they nerfed the meta gems, so it didn't really work that well. I have yet to do my third ascendancy on this class, but I am going to end up doing that. I wanted to play all the other classes just to get kind of a review. Once I was able to get a decent weapon on this character, it ran through the campaign no problem. It's got a ton of crowd control, a ton of damage. The Tempest Bell coupled with the Glaciation, it just causes this massive freeze buildup. So you freeze the bosses real quick, you pop your charge staff, and then you just bust them down. To get the power charges on this character, I am using Resonance with Combat Frenzy. So that's how I'm generating power charges. This class is probably my favorite class out of all of them. It might be a close second to the Witchunter, but we'll talk about that one in a minute. All in all, if you guys are trying to choose an alt, I would definitely try the Invoker. It's really fun. It's got a lot of damage, a lot of crowd control. I never felt too stressed out playing this through the campaign because of how much it just froze all the packs, dropped the Tempest Spell, and it just annihilates. Got really good AoE. So I would definitely give it a shot. Make sure that when you get a weapon, you are getting a high fizz damage staff if you are going to use Ice Strike, because it converts your physical damage to cold damage. So you're definitely going to want that high number base. The next class I made was the Pathfinder. I have played this class for 1 day, 17 hours, and 26 minutes. I leveled with the Gas Arrow build, and I can tell you right now that Gas Arrow is by far one of the strongest, safest playstyles I've ever played in this game. For leveling, I used Gas Arrow and Rain of Arrows to apply Wither, and it was incredible. I ended up socketing Blasphemy and Wind Dancer into my meta skills, and it felt great. This is also a really safe play style. You just stay back. It's ranged, so it's really no problem. The bosses are not an issue with this. On this class, I have died 49 times. So not a lot, not as much as the monk, obviously, because I stay far away. I was trying to put together a poisonous concoction build, but by the time I was able to put anything together, obviously everybody was just putting out build guides for it. And the way that it is right now, it's really hard to put together a nuanced build because we don't have all the support gems. And I feel like once all the support gems come out and we have all the weapon types, it's going to be a lot easier to put together some like off meta stuff and some cool builds. But actually, Poisonous Concoction ended up being quite a strong build from what I can tell. But I did level with the Gas Arrow, and it was a lot of fun. I've played Pathfinder so far, so I haven't checked out Deadeye, but in the very beginning, I was using Lightning Arrow, and from what I can tell, a member of my guild is using a Cast on Shock Ball Lightning build for the Deadeye, and it seems to be really, really strong. So might want to give it a shot. The next class I played was the Witchunter, and let me tell you, this class is a lot of fun. I have played it for 1 day, 10 hours, 5 minutes, and 19 seconds, and I have died 15 times. So as you can tell, this is also a really safe playstyle. I was using explosive grenades with gas grenade, and on top of that, I was using oil grenade and flash grenades. This is one of the most satisfying builds I've ever played in an ARPG, especially when you have your headphones on and the explosions just sound so crisp. The bosses just get staggered really fast, and it's just a lot of fun. It's not the most powerful. I mean, the damage kind of falls off in the higher tier maps, but it's a lot of fun. I'm waiting to kind of see and experiment. I was trying out Artillery Ballista for a little bit, seeing if I could get that to go, but the damage just isn't there in the higher tier maps. I saw Zizarin was trying to do some stat stacking stuff with that, so hopefully he gets that off the ground and I can just copy what he does. But yeah, so I would definitely try out the Witchunter. I want to roll a Gemling Legionnaire. It seems like there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that Ascendancy because you can kind of play it across. The only problem with the Merc is the starting point on the tree. Right now, the way that armor is, it's kind of been a bad spot. Most of the tree is armor and evasion. What I was thinking of doing was just pathing over this way to go to the evasion and energy shield part of the tree, and then just getting the main grenade nodes. So maybe I'll end up doing that. I want to focus more on the end game content now that I've gone through the campaign with all these classes and I've kind of gotten a feel for the game. I want to start theory crafting some stuff. I know I really don't have that much time to sit there and do it, but I have a couple of ideas that I haven't seen anybody post videos about, so hopefully I'll be able to get in where I fit in. So yeah, definitely try out the Witchunter. It is a lot of fun. Very, very safe playstyle. As you can see, I've only died 15 times in this whole time. Does a lot of damage in the campaign. The only problem is with this build, with the explosive grenade and gas grenade, you might have to switch to something else in the higher tier maps. The next class that I played was the Stormweaver. And for this one, I have played 23 hours, 58 minutes, and 3 seconds. And on this class, I have died 73 times. So obviously, Not that safe in the very beginning. I died a lot in the early campaign. Once I was able to get Spark online and kind of going, it was a lot easier to go through the campaign. However, you don't get Archmage until level 58, and that's an issue because this relies heavily on Archmage to really take off. So you don't really get it till like the very end of Act 6. Although I will tell you this, out of all the classes that I've played, this ranks up there with some of the higher damage that I've done. And it really just depends on if you can get some decent gear. I really have suboptimal gear on this character, as you can tell. I did get a little help from one of my guild members going through Act 6. Not really help, but we kind of just went through it together. Which is why I ended up getting through at such a low level. But yeah, this is definitely really fun. If you like that caster play style, this is definitely a good build to try out, that Spark Archmage. I really want to try out a Firestorm Archmage build, so that's probably what I'm going to end up trying out next. Yeah, I mean, all in all, I died a lot, but once I was able to get some semi-decent gear, I was doing okay. And then once I was able to get a 3-link on the Spark, I was doing decent. So I used Spark, Orb of Storms, just the same one that everybody uses with Flame Wall, shooting the Spark through the Flame Wall, and I was able to get through the campaign pretty decent. Okay, so remember when I said kind of in the very beginning of the video? That brings us to the Warbringer. Now, I don't know who was in charge of developing this class, but it seems to me like this class was developed by an entirely different team of people for like a different game. All of the skills take forever to wind up, and it's just leap slam real slow, bone shatter. Leap slam real slow, bone shatter. You have perfect strike. I was trying shockwave totems. So what I ended up really just doing until before I got to Act 3 was I just threw a quarterstaff on and I was just leveling it with Ice Strike like a monk. And that's probably what I'm going to end up doing again. Because as it sits right here, I'm really not enjoying this playstyle a lot. It does a lot of damage, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's just when the monsters are like hasted and they're rushing you, I just don't see how there's just nothing to alter the cast time or attack time of these skills. It's just crazy. So I have played this class for 13 hours, 51 minutes, and 15 seconds, and I have died 12 times. It's kind of tanky, right? So definitely not dying as much as some of the other classes, but it's just so excruciatingly slow. And I really, really hope that they do some work on this class. I know it's early access. If you don't like that slow play style, I would definitely level as something else if you're really set on playing a warrior. But I've seen other people get through it, so I know it's possible. It's just really not for me as far as the play style goes. I really wanted to try out that Corrupting Cry build with some shockwave totems, so that's probably what I'm going to end up speccing into and trying to get through the rest of the campaign with this. But this is my last class that I'm going to do that with. Then I'm going to focus on some endgame stuff. I'm going to put out some guides for some how to farm some currency and all that. Some good guides on some of the endgame mechanics for you. A couple of notes. The crafting in this game has to change. Part of PoE 1's magic was the deterministic crafting. All they would have to do is just add the crafting bench back to the game, get us some crafting recipes, and I'm sure it would fix a lot of the issues. But out of all of these classes, I found maybe 3 upgrades out of all the campaign runs. 3 upgrades the whole time that I actually found and picked up. The rest, I found currency, I bought item rarity, and I just farmed more currency throughout the campaign. I was making about 20 exalts like every couple of acts, so I was actually able to gear up the characters. But other than that, I mean, I didn't find anything. So they're going to really, really have to take a look at that. It was pretty miserable. It would be really nice if you could just get some essences that have like guaranteed resistances on them or guaranteed max life or whatever the case is, just like in PoE 1. I really, really miss that crafting system. Crafting as it sits right now is dead to me. It's just like gambling. I heard somebody say it's wisdom scrolls with extra steps, which is pretty much what I feel it is. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video useful. If you guys are considered playing an alt, if you guys find any of my videos helpful at all, please consider subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned. I got a lot more guides and walkthroughs to come for the end game coming up. So I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.